Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cheap Seats podcast. We are on to episode 14. We are about a week removed from Backlash now. Maybe is it a week? 2 weeks?
2 weeks now. Well, a week and a bit.
Week and a half. Week and a bit from Backlash. The next pay-per-view coming up is King of the Ring in that place. The desert. No, it's Saudi Arabia.
Do you reckon that there's like someone like the Saudi prince is just gonna be like, they can't be king, I'm the future king?
Sees it as a coup and then just like takes all of the WWE wrestlers and staff hostage. Yeah.
People think I'm joking, but this is the person that genuinely thought WWE were gonna resurrect Yoko. Don't take anything from them.
Oh God! Hey, look. Let's you know, they asked Triple H and Shawn Michaels to come out of retirement at 60 years old. So, okay. So yeah, we're gonna run through this week's Backlash and sorry, not Backlash. Sorry, SmackDown and Raw. Sorry. We will move on fairly quickly as we again are on a time constraint, so we'll try and keep this as short as possible. It was both Raw and SmackDown mostly were King or Queen of the Ring first round matches. So let's just dive straight in, and then if there's anything you want to bring up afterwards, you can. SmackDown.
Most of what I want to say is that in this very first moment, in the very first thing that we're going to talk about.
Go on. Oh, okay.
No, well, I'll let you say it first.
Yeah. So the opening for SmackDown. Well, Angelo Dawkins replaces Bobby Lashley, but we knew that. So that because that was announced last week, I think. Because I remember us already talking about that. We have.
I don't think it was announced. I think it was just because of stuff that happened IRL. As the kids say, SmackDown had already been by the time we recorded last week's podcast, not pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so Naomi versus Nia Jax for the first round Queen of the Ring tournament. Nia Jax defeats Naomi.
Oh, okay, we've missed a part, but that's fine. We'll go into Nia Jax.
Wait, what?
It opened the show with a talking segment, according to
okay. Oh, well, I didn't see that. It literally just says the match. There is no talking segments on my list.
No.
What did we have?
I'll quickly go over it because it frustrated me. It's a very predictable thing. So we have a war of words erupted because Cody Rhodes opens SmackDown. He comes out, does his usual thing at the minute where he suddenly is slowly becoming Roman Reigns by not wrestling and just doing promos every week.
Okay.
For the fight in Jam, but he comes out and. He gets interrupted by his new challenger for Saudi Arabia, Logan Paul, who is back, baby! And it is also being made a title versus title match for Saudi Arabia.
You know that this is not their booking. You know this is not their booking. Oh, so my God.
We're either going to get Cody 2 belts. Logan Paul will be the one that dethrones Cody and holds and be Logan 2 belts, or what everyone is thinking is going to happen. Someone's going to intervene, or it's going to be a DQ and no belts change hands because it's
going to be a DQ.
You have literally got Logan Paul already booked for SummerSlam since it's in his hometown.
Yeah.
You are not taking that belt off Cody. This is just, what the hell went on with SmackDown? They were smoking something.
I don't even think it's them. Again, I think it's the influence from Saudi. They're like, this is what we would like. So can you make it happen? And they're kind of like, well, we can. We don't want to, but we can. So I think this is a WrestleMania 6 situation where you had Hogan versus Warrior. Um,
Yeah, so you've
uh,
got it was just such a weird way to open the show because it's so predictable. Like, why have
yeah,
you put these two in a match? And if they're in a match, fine, because I reckon these two
it's
could
going to
put
be a
on
good
match of the
match.
night.
Yeah,
Because whether you love him or hate him, Logan Paul is fantastic at wrestling.
yeah, he's good at it. Yeah,
He
which is a
is
shame
he is arguably top five talent
at the
in the
moment.
brand right now because he is just so good at everything he does. Um, and it's this story writes itself. You think it's going to go to Saudi Arabia? You got the King and Queen of the Ring tournament.
Yep.
Fine, it's mostly a lot of WWE talent has like made their way through that tournament, and then you've got these two guys that are going to main event it that made a massive name for themselves in Japan.
Yeah, I know it's all a bit. Yeah.
There is a bit in there, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about with Logan Paul.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, yeah, he made a name for himself in Japan the wrong way. Yeah. So I don't know. I like that. Well, we know it's going to be a DQ finish. They are not going to let Cody lose to Logan Paul. There's just no way. And if Cody does beat Logan Paul, like he said, he becomes a Grand Slam champ. But then what does he do? Then what does he do? Like, does he then
Just vacate the US belt, or does he try and defend both?
Well, I don't know. We could be seeing. I mean, if he takes the US Championship off of Logan Paul, they could unify the US Champ and the IC belt. Just a thought. Because Sami Zayn's currently the Intercontinental Champion.
We need them separate. We need them as separate can be.
Yeah, but the US Championship just doesn't really. It's not doing anything. It's, you know,
It's making a name for WWE in a way that isn't wrestling.
yeah, but you could do that with
Because-
anything.
Yeah, but what I mean by that is like the person they've got it on, fantastic wrestler. I'm not taking anything away from it. Like I said, he's top 5 in the company at the minute. Probably just in wrestling in general at the minute. I still think number 1 for me is Will Ospreay. That's not going to be beaten for a while. That's my opinion. But Logan Paul is definitely top 5 of all time. He is at the minute. Not all time, obviously, but you know what I mean. Like at the minute, he is just insane at what he does.
Okay.
So I think he can wrestle. Obviously, it's not ideal that it's a sort of. I wouldn't put him on the same sort of caliber as Roman Reigns in the way of what the Bloodline story was, but it's a similar champion in terms of he's never on the shows. It's a belt that doesn't get defended as often. But at the same time, from a WWE's point of view and a business point of view, like he has it on the table in front of him on his Impulsive podcast. He brings it everywhere he goes. It's in YouTube videos that reaches out to people that don't watch wrestling. It's brought a lot of people that don't watch wrestling to wrestling because of who it is. So from a business point of view, I understand it, but I do agree that the IC belt has got a lot more prestigious since Gunter had it and did his whole massive streak. So I think that they just need someone who, I think it'll come at SummerSlam. I think WWE are going to do that thing where they put someone on in their home crowd and have them lose. But I think maybe we'll then get a different champion that hopefully runs with that belt. Maybe an LA Knight that'll bring prestige to the US belt and just
you need someone with wrestling pedigree that can take the US title and give it the same prestige that Gunther gave to the IC title.
Yeah,
I think that's important. I think that's the next step for WWE with the US title, because it's not that Logan Paul isn't bringing anything to it. It's just he doesn't have that wrestling caliber. Like whatever we say about all the social media stuff, it's great, but this is wrestling at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So yeah. But so speaking of wrestling, let's actually talk about the wrestling that happened on SmackDown. So we had Naomi, like I said earlier, Naomi was defeated by Nia Jax. I mean, from the highlights I saw, it was fine, but Naomi was having a lot of what do they call it, wardrobe malfunctions.
Yeah, it wasn't her best match since coming back.
No.
There was definitely a lot, and yet again, just idiots on social media that seem to blame the stuff going wrong on Nia Jax, because whenever something goes wrong in a Nia Jax match, it's Nia Jax.
Well,
No,
as far as I
was
can see, it wasn't.
No, it was literally wardrobe, like you say, it was wardrobe malfunctions from Naomi's side that could, it was like her leggings came down and tripped her up at one point. It was like, what are you supposed to do? Like,
Yeah.
not down, but you know what I mean? It went over, like, under
Yeah.
the heel of her shoe.
Yeah.
And she couldn't. So
and then her top kept slipping
that's-
down as well.
Yeah.
And she kept having to pull it up, and I was like,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Like, protect your modesty first. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry about the rest. That, like,
yeah.
yeah,
It was botches for the right reason. We don't want anyone
No.
to go through that. So
No.
it's not the Vince era.
no,
So she did the right thing. However, the result, I think that if you want to make this competition mean something, Nia Jax has to be your winner in this.
Oh,
and that
absolutely.
pains me to say it, because there is a certain someone that also is in this tournament
Yeah.
that I like.
I reckon
that I
that'll be
think
the
they'll lose.
final. I reckon
I
that.
think they have to face each other, don't they? They're both SmackDown. Isn't it going to be SmackDown versus Raw in the final?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
Although I don't know how
yeah.
it works now, because Nia started it in the Raw bracket and
Yeah.
then got drafted to SmackDown, so
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to work. I need to see the actual table again, because I can't remember for the life of me. But the fact that they're both on SmackDown now technically means that they should meet each other in the final of the SmackDown bracket, or semi-final, however you want to see it.
It'll probably be
Semi-final of the tournament,
semi-
or final of the SmackDown.
Yeah. 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 It was fine. I mean, I wouldn't have said it was match of the night, but it was definitely a match.
If you're watching on YouTube, there's a comment section down below, and if you're watching on or listening on Spotify, there's also a comment section down below. How, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how impressed have you been with Nia Jax since she returned? Because if you asked me 3 years ago if I was looking forward to any Nia Jax match, I would have laughed at you. Now, she is absolutely incredible. Like, she's done what a lot of other superstars have done, which is leave WWE, work on her craft, come back, and just be absolutely insane.
Yeah, she's done very well since coming back. She's a lot more confident. She's making less mistakes. That's something that that's what I've noticed. She's not making as many mistakes, but she also seems very confident in when she's moving around the ring, when she's her timing is better. Yeah, I would have laughed as well if you'd have asked me the same question. I think I think this is a good thing for Nia Jax.
And just wrestlers in general. If you look at everyone that's been released recently,
Yeah,
there's people like Nia Jax that have gone away, made a name for themselves, returned to WWE, top talent.
and better for it.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Mhm.
Let's move on. Next match. I was looking forward to this one due to my love for NXT and the people that move up from the NXT roster to main roster. Carmelo Hayes, him as his nickname is, versus Baron Corbin, who has also come up, or back up rather, from NXT. I thought this was probably match of the night, in my opinion. My opinion.
No, I could. Yeah, I'd go for that. I think that was it was a very good match. I think the only other one could be arguably the last match of the night. Is the other one that's quite close, but with the people involved in the last match, which we'll get to, it's understandable that was going to be a good match.
Yeah.
Whereas this, the only thing is you had Baron Corbin go to NXT, become this dominant guy again.
Yep.
He comes back to the main roster and just loses instantly again.
I mean, look, okay, right, look, cards on the table, right? King of the Ring, recently, aside from just a nice accolade, has meant fuck all, right?
Yeah.
The worst part about it now is that it's now a Saudi-related thing. And I know people might be saying,
That's how little WWE care about it.
well, I mean, see, this is the thing. People will start saying, "Oh, you're always shitting on Saudi. You're always shitting." Okay, look at the events that take place there. This is purely a cash grab. Nothing of note really happens there. Okay, let's just be clear that also, like, depending on, I suppose, your political allegiance, they're not the best people in the world. Like, they are incredibly, they have problems with, all kinds of things. I don't want to get into it too much, but politically, it's not really somewhere you choose to go for a holiday. Okay, especially if you're very open-minded. But that they've got Night of Champions, they've got King of the Ring, they've got the greatest Royal Rumble or whatever that. I mean, that was probably a one-off. I don't think they've got Crown Jewel. And you look at all of those events and you're like, well, nothing of note really happens. They're just exhibit. It's like when they used to go on tour to Kuwait back in the day, in the 90s. Nothing really happened. It was just a trip to go and do a show for the troops and stuff like that. But nothing story wise really happened. The fact that they've got Cody Rhodes all of a sudden taking on Logan Paul, just out of absolutely nowhere, just doesn't make any sense. And it's purely they've just said, oh, is there any chance we could have Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul? And then they're like, yeah, I mean, sure, we'll try and book it. And then they're like, don't worry, guys, it'll be a DQ finish. No belts changes hands. That's okay. And, but it's a good payday. It's a good payday. It's like, oh, yeah, I suppose. I don't know, man. I don't know. I've got I've my own reasons why I dislike all these shows. But King of the Ring hasn't meant anything for a while.
Yeah. For those interested, Ryu doesn't like Saudi Arabia because, as we all know, they own Newcastle United, and there's a few people. Just if you know anyone that's affected by supporting Newcastle United, give them a hug, check on them, make sure they're okay.
Oh dear! I watched the match last night. Fucking pile of shit. It's so bad.
But back to the wrestling. Carmelo Hayes, fantastic. Like, this is, I think, they've put this match together. As much as I didn't like, well, not that I didn't like it. Obviously, someone has to lose. It's wrestling.
Yep.
I think they've put these two together because they've worked together on NXT.
Yes.
And Baron Corbin is a name that the SmackDown crowd will know if you don't watch NXT. And because they've worked together, they've got that chemistry. It can make Melo look a lot better.
Yeah.
Not that he needs to look better because he's a fantastic talent, but you know what I mean. For the casual fan that doesn't watch NXT, that's like, who the hell's this guy? This is a match where these two have done this before. They know each other's moves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They could make the match look really good, and it was a really good match. Like you say, it was arguably match of the night.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
In
my opinion.
Yeah, the only thing that maybe I didn't agree with is the finish, which was just, random small package pin. I know sometimes they work when it's like out of nowhere, but when it's like his first few matches being properly signed to the main roster, you want to see like Melo's finisher and stuff like that to be the thing that ends the match and make him look really strong, not just quick roll up, sneaky win, out the ring.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's the size thing, that's why he went for the roll up pin, because it makes sense, because Corbin, he's on top, like surprise roll up. Because the thing is if we went through a phase where the surprise roll up was happening every week. And it was getting to be a bit of a meme. and then we went, and then it went completely the other way. The matches were being finished properly with finishers, or DQs, depending. Now we've had one surprise roll up victory, and I think it makes more sense this way. I think he's used his smarts to overcome someone who is physically more impressive. But that was my thought anyway. It was a good match. And I think even though Corbin didn't get the win, I think he showed that he still has it. So that's good. Moving on, Jade Cargill versus Piper Niven for the Queen of the Ring advancement for round 1. Cargill wins, probably predictably. Jade Cargill wins. I don't know what you thought about it. I thought it was okay. It wasn't a bad match, but
yeah, it was it's again showcasing the raw power that Jade Cargill has. You had the obviously heel tactics of Chelsea Green on the apron that distracts Jade for a bit. Piper looked strong in this match. Like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't as straightforward for Jade Cargill as people were probably expecting.
Yeah.
Like, I think Piper got in quite a lot of offense. She even hit the cannonball
in the corner.
Stuff in the corner. Yeah. Stuff like that just to make it look. So it did well for Piper as well as it did even in a loss. Because even though even though it is a loss, you can come out of it looking very strong, and if you stick her against the women's tag, the absolute bloody unit that Jade Cargill is, like intimidation, that woman scares me. I'm not gonna lie. If I seen her, I'd put myself in hospital before she even had to touch me. I'm going there now. She is an absolute unit of an athlete. So you're expecting her. I don't know. It's a weird one, this, because have WWE sort of foreshadowed the ending of this tournament? Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna let Jade Cargill lose this early on when you're trying to make her be like the next big thing. So I could see Jade Cargill being the one that wins this tournament. Although, like I say, my Bay and Spirit animal is in this tournament as well. And I think if because WWE in recent years, as we spoke about last week, don't really know what to do with the King and Queen of the Ring. I think the person that would play into the role more of Queen of the Ring would be Tiffany Stratton.
Oh,
that heel,
100%.
The royalty of Tiffy time as Queen of the Ring would be something
she would have
into.
the crown on all the time. She'd have like a robe and everything. Like, she would go all in, like character wise, and I would love to see that.
I don't want. The only reason I wouldn't want Tiffany Stratton to be it is because the WWE games are always like a year behind, and they'd have Queen Stratton as the character on next year's game, and I just want her to be known as Tiffany Stratton. Like, just that's a tip for the people at EA, not EA. 2K. Just stop. Yes, it's a gimmick. Just make the person normal. Make them their normal character. Do not call them, because they had Queen Zelina in 2023, and she was terrible.
Can I just interrupt and just say that I agree, and I don't understand how they cannot hot patch as the calendar goes on. So, for example, at the moment, it's just Tiffany Stratton. If she wins Queen of the Ring, allow her to have that title then. Does that make sense? Like, in the game, like, do a very small hot patch, a small update that just allows her to have the title of Queen of the Ring and the costume, come out to the ring with the costume. Same entrance, just with the, like, crown and whatever, or, if thinking now, if it's Tiffany, it'll probably be a tiara. Right?
Yeah,
that would make
a tiara sort of like thing.
Yeah.
She could have like, oh, Daddy's bought me this, and it's like a big fancy tiara.
Big fancy,
she'd play into it quite well.
Yeah, I think she really
However,
would. Yeah.
However, back to this match, I feel like if you've put Jade Cargill in this tournament, you sort of have to. But then again, you could say that about the rest of the women in it. Nia Jax is an absolute unit. That's going to be a great match next because I've got the tournament bracket up here. So the semi-final for SmackDown is Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill after this match. I won't say the other semi-final because we haven't got to them yet, in case people haven't watched it. But that's the semi-final. So Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill.
I think
next week.
Yeah, I think Jade Cargill goes over Nia Jax, and then advances.
Probably yes. I think you might get some sort of shenanigans in that match, though.
Okay.
I don't know how you're going to do it yet, because obviously this is where they've sort of like, I wouldn't say booked themselves into a corner, because these are the sort of matches you want to see these wrestlers have. You want the big ones to face each other and have absolutely insane, just hard-hitting matches. And these two women can go, because one, it's going to show Jade's power when she just fucking lifts Nia Jax with ease. But then Nia Jax, people could argue that the size of Nia Jax, the people she's been beaten on recently are all these like more slimmer, smaller in stature women's wrestlers. Like still great wrestlers, but you put Jade Cargill next to Becky Lynch or Liv Morgan. Like I say, Jade Cargill could legit kill a small village. Liv Morgan is a great athlete, but doesn't look the strongest.
No.
So you have you put Nia Jax in that sort of situation, and then so it's going to showcase both of these women fantastically. But who wins that one? Probably Jade, I'd say.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a great match nonetheless, and it's just the SmackDown bracket. All 4 women could legit win this tournament.
Well, I think that's more what they're going for. Then they want it to be like, oh, who could win? Who? Because in the past you've seen the bracket. You're like, well, okay, I can tell who's going to win just by looking at the bracket. So
I do think that the winner is going to come from the SmackDown side.
We'll see. We'll see. I agree. By the way, I agree. Looking at who is there, I think yes, but we'll see. Then we had we moved on. We had another Queen of the Ring first round match. Bianca Belair versus Candice LeRae. I mean, this was. If you know your wrestling, Candice LeRae was not going to win this. Like this was ridiculous in my opinion to book. It's such an obvious thing.
Before we get into the match, can we talk about the glorious thing that WWE have done since Vince has left?
Go on.
Just the little things they've done. Like, look at the match that was on previous. It's the one that we just spoke about, Piper versus Jade.
Yeah.
You then get Jade winning, and as Jade's celebrating, that's when Bianca Belair's music hits, because they're the tag team champions.
Yeah.
And Jade just claps Bianca to the ring, and they come down as an actual team. And it's just little things like that. Whereas back in the day, they would have had Jade just leave, and then next match tonight, here comes Bianca. Whereas this is the team are actually congratulating each other, going, right, good luck, get out there, do whatever you like.
Yeah.
Just little things like that Triple H knows makes the wrestling seem more real.
Yep, 100%. So that I agree. Those little touches are nice. It's. It makes sense. It's like, that sort of thing has been missing for so long. It's they wouldn't be allowed to act like they're in a team. It's ridiculous. Anyway, but
you don't want to confuse the audience. This is a singles competition. Get your team shit out of here.
I know he hated tag team. I know Vince hated tag team wrestling, but. Thank God Triple H is in charge. The next match, Bianca Belair defeats Candice LeRae, of course.
Yeah.
It was a fine match. Indy Hartwell, playing up to the heel thing of attacking Bianca Belair, but then being like, oh no, I didn't touch her. That sort of rubbish. it's fine. You know, it's part of the story. It's part of the the whole sort of I'm a heel now thing. I didn't care too much about who won this. Well, I knew. I took one glance and I was like, oh well, I know who's winning. But yeah, I'm not really sort of sold on either at the moment. So
yeah, never mind.
yeah, well, let's move on. Then we had Angelo Dawkins versus Tama Tonga. Now, again, just to recap, Angelo Dawkins took the place of Bobby Lashley. And
predictable, made the match so predictable. I mean, it was already predictable, but like,
well, I think
that was.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I think this is a way that they wanted Tama Tonga to get through.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to hurt Bobby Lashley and having him go out first round. So I don't think there's anything wrong with Bobby Lashley. I don't think. I know he's not cleared to compete, in quotation marks for those listening on Spotify, but I think this is just a way to go. Yeah, we need Tama Tonga to get through, but we don't want Bobby Lashley to be the one that takes the fall here. So. And we don't really want a DQ finish or like the bloodline to get involved because they've got their own story going on. So we'll have Tama Tonga go over. Because if you think about it, like no disrespect to Angelo Dawkins, fantastic athlete, but if you're going to replace Bobby Lashley with another member of the Pride, everyone's going to be like, "Oh, you put Ford in there."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
out
as soon as it went to Angelo Dawkins, it's like, okay, this is predictable.
Yeah, unfortunately, and it's just the way things are sometimes. But out of that group, he is the weak link. I don't mean that. You know, I'm not shitting on him. You know, in that way. He is a superb athlete. Some of the stuff he does is like his shoulder tackles. Like they look like they could shatter someone's skull. Like they are.
Did he used to play American football or anything?
Yes. I think he was collegiate.
You can tell because he absolutely just the shoulder tackles. Just
he leans into it and everything. Yeah, like you just tell he just woof, and he just fucking sends whoever it is, just sends them flying into the ropes or whatever, or apron or whatever, wherever they're standing. They go flying. And that's something I've always a bit like. I enjoyed about the Street Profits was their synchronicity as a tag team was so good.
Yeah, and their styles are like opposites, but it works in such a good way.
It's exactly that. Their styles do not they're so chalk and cheese, but they work well together. I do like the Street Profits. I do. It's just a shame that again because of their unfortunate timing with their call up and everything, kind of dumped them into the tag division that no one cared about, which therein lies the problem. But it's good that they're just getting to like be out there and do stuff. And Montez Ford is just he is just something else. Like so there was interference from the bloodline where Solo Sikoa, who is now been told by Roman Reigns that he's in charge, which I don't believe. So there was a little, just to quickly cut away, there was a little backstage segment between Heyman and Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa says he asked Heyman, "Have you spoken to Roman since Mania?" Paul Heyman says he hasn't. Solo said that he had. And Roman told him that now he was in charge. I don't believe he's spoken to Roman at all. I think this is just one of those things. Because Paul Heyman looked so shocked and so surprised. And he was like, he said, "Now you're my wise man." And he wanted to give him a hug. And as he was hugging Paul Heyman, Tama Tonga and Tagaloa, they came and sort of stood behind Solo, and Solo was kind of like, where he was like shithousery heel stuff. So Solo Sikoa got on the apron, distracted Dawkins, and got punched off the apron, and then without missing a beat, Montez Ford he just stepped up onto the apron in one stride, and then hit both Solo and Tagaloa he just hit him with that with that. It's just it was like just a somersault dive, but he ends up like just standing upright and just
Yeah.
like posing at the camera, and I was like, well, that's a fucking superhero if ever I saw one. So he's doing great stuff too. But it was another distraction finish. Tangaloa and Solo Sikoa Samoan spiked Montez Ford while Dawkins was distracted. Tonga he hit his finisher and won the match, but the commentators obviously do not know what his finisher is. So when it happened, rather than hype it up, they just kind of went, "Oh!" and he drops him with a they just counted to 3. It's like, oh, okay. They had no idea that was his finisher. It didn't look like a finisher either. It just looked like a reverse DDT or Scorpion Death Drop kind of deal. And I didn't. I was like, oh, okay, that's his finisher then.
The only thing I'll quickly touch on before we move on is, I know it's sort of like the Bloodline shtick and gimmick that, okay, every match is an interference and we're going to show our numbers game.
Yeah.
At what stage does that make the Bloodline look weak as piss, that none of them can finish a match by themselves?
Well, that's the thing. This is very old school shithousery heel stable work. Like with DX. DX did it with China, always low blowing everybody. It's a classic trope where the heel team just every match they win, it's not clean. It's always shit. And you say it makes them look weak. Yeah, it does, but they don't care. They're winning. They're racking up the wins.
It's just every now and then I'd like to see one of them, like, especially this sort of match where it's like Tama Tonga's first sort of like
proper
main like proper match in WWE. Just have him go over clean, make him look strong, so it's like people that don't maybe know who he is from New Japan just come in, like watch him be this dominant, like, oh shit, he's actually a unit.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel, especially against and again, this is not. I'm trying not to shit on the Street Profits, but against Angelo Dawkins, they could have afforded this to be a clean victory, just to show strength and dominance. Otherwise, now it's kind of like, well, can he actually win if the Bloodline aren't there?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not fan of these kind of constant distractions, but at the same time, it's not like Angelo Dawkins was going to be considered to be a total contender. And that sounds awful. It sounds awful when I say it, but it's the truth, unfortunately. And he got the jobber entrance where they don't even play the music; they just come to the ring. He's already there.
Yeah.
So let's move on. We had the final match for the card of SmackDown: AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. Now, this is how a King of the Ring qualifying match. This is what it should be. It should be between two people that you just don't know who is going over. You don't know who's going to advance. Okay. I thought this was a fantastic match. It went on a bit long, but then it's kind of, oh man, it's Randy Orton and AJ Styles, so they can go for as long as they like. But I feel for the reason behind the match, i.e. the qualifying thing, it probably went about 5 minutes too long. So it should have been a 15-minute. It was 20 minutes. It clocked in at 20 minutes. I think 15 probably would have been better. But I mean, well, that's not included. It was 20 minutes including the entrances, so okay, it might have been a bit less, but it just felt a bit too long. But it was fine. I thought it was a good match. This was the other match of the night, in my opinion.
But like we say, the people that are involved in this match, that's just a
Yeah.
given at this point. Like,
It's Randy Orton and AJ Styles. Like, they're gonna put on a great fucking match. Whichever way you look at it, it's gonna be a good one.
the obviously you could argue the toss for either of these people. The only thing I would possibly say, because at the minute we still don't know if the King and Queen of the Ring tournament is for anything other than the cheap gimmick with you, where you get the cheap scepter and
Yeah.
go for like half a year of being referred to as King or Queen. Which, if it is, don't care, don't want it. If it was for a title match down the line, fair enough. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying like Money in the Bank esque, because then that just ruins Money in the Bank. But if you could like say, I want a title match at this event, and that's when you got your title match, like you had to rebook it almost. That would make sense for like the King to be able to go, or like we said last week, they run the show for a month or something like that.
Yeah.
Because they're the royalty. Anyway, back to my original point. At this point, where it's not for anything, I'd rather have seen AJ Styles win this tournament out of the people that are involved in it. I think, obviously, there's one from Raw, which we'll get to, we haven't got to yet, but there's someone in Raw that we obviously think might win, who would be also a good candidate to win.
Yep.
But for the fact that it's 4-0, it doesn't look like AJ Styles is going to win a belt anytime soon in WWE, unless it's maybe he goes down to the mid card at some point, which is sad because he's on the wind down. And maybe he's fine with that, maybe he's happy with that, but at least give him something to like celebrate. I don't think, has he ever been a champion in WWE?
Yeah.
Briefly with Shinsuke when they had the NAD kicking.
No, he's been world champion a number of times.
Not very memorable though.
Well, no, because he hasn't. No, because it was Vince booking. He was just a good working champion. Like, because he could get a match out of a broom. It's like you put AJ Styles as champion. Okay, he's the interim champion. Like, who do we Okay, now it's Brock. Like, when Brock was still in the roster, it was like, okay, well, we'll use AJ Styles to transfer the title from so and so to Brock, or whatever it was. But he's had a few title reigns, like at the top of the card as well.
Not for a long time though.
No, not this level of booking, like not Roman Reigns level of booking, no, because Vince loved to just hot potato everything. Because he was just trying to keep people interested in a product that was fucking dying. Then it's all, we know the whole thing got flipped on its head. We had almost 3 years of Roman Reigns, being on top, and Seth being the inaugural world heavyweight champion. Sorry, just punched the microphone. And now we are getting back into the era of long title reigns, with a lot of challenges, with a lot of story, and that's good. That's really good. But unfortunately, AJ Styles was a champion with multiple reigns, but nothing notable, nothing that really stands out apart from the dick punching competition with Shinsuke Nakamura, which again, it just doesn't make any fucking sense, and it never did. But going back to the match that we're talking about, you're right. AJ Styles, if it's just for the accolade, yeah, AJ Styles should have gone through here. So spoiler alert, Orton wins. But I also think Orton is more in the twilight of his career now, and I don't think. I mean, as ridiculous as it sounds, he hasn't won King of the Ring as far as I remember.
No, he's not. He's never won it.
So maybe it's just something else to just tick off his list, so that when he eventually gets his Hall of Fame ring, that when they're listing off his achievements, that will be in there as well. I don't know. I think what would be really good for AJ Styles would be to dethrone Logan Paul. I think that would be a really good, because then Logan Paul, like, he will have lost to a legitimate badass champion, former champion. Yeah.
The only issue we'd have with that is it would be heel versus heel, which, as we know from GM mode, doesn't get the ratings.
Well, hold on now, because don't forget when AJ Styles had that little tete-a-tete with Cody Rhodes, he was kind of like, look, all that, I'm not a bad guy. It was just LA Knight was pissing me off. It's like,
Yeah,
was that them trying to recover? Was that because people were not?
I think
They didn't take to AJ Styles being a heel. They still cheered him. They still wanted. They want to cheer him. Like, that's my opinion. It always feels like AJ Styles is a better face than he is a heel, because
yeah, I think it was also to do with the fact that while he was in Leon, people kept asking for photos with him, thinking he was Billie Eilish. So he was like, "I'm not the bad guy. I didn't sing that song. That's someone else." Just
Jesus Christ! Don't ever go into comedy as a career, okay? Don't.
If you're listening on Spotify, watch the YouTube video just for Ryu's reaction. I love making jokes just to look at the camera and see his face just drop.
Fuck's sakes, honestly. Okay, but for real, like, the response he got in France, it just tells the WWE, as much as they could book it, AJ Styles does not.
Will always be over.
He will always be over. Like Orton, same. Like, now at this point in their careers, the fans will cheer. It's like Cena. Like, they'll cheer him regardless of what he's doing.
And this is where WWE are going to notice this more and more, because Triple H is we've already seen.
Yeah.
But he's also said that he wants to branch out and bring PLEs to all over the globe, basically. Yep. Like, he wants to go through Europe and have shows here and there. And the French crowd, I think, have now gone, to WWE. Their eyes have lit up, because
100%.
That, like, Backlash for years has been a B-show pay-per-view. And then all of a sudden, you take it to France. That French crowd made it feel like WrestleMania.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's because, like you say, and you've said many times, the Americans are spoilt for wrestling.
They are. Yeah.
They get it every week.
I stand by that.
Multiple shows, because you've got about 5 different, like, massive promotions. Yep. Even if they're classed as indies, they're still massive promotions.
Yep.
Like, the UK doesn't really have much. They've got, obviously, a few indie shows dotted around the UK, but nothing televised major, like...
No,
like,
it's not televised.
In America, you've got like 4 or 5 different brands that are all televised, and Americans can just go, I'll go to any of them.
Yeah,
you've got AEW, TNA, Impact, WWE, and then you've got, depending on how far up they come, you've got Lucha Underground as well, because I know it's Mexican, but it's like they sometimes do shows up in the bottom half of America.
You got MLW as well.
Yeah, MLW, another one.
Yeah.
They've got so many.
Yeah. Ring of Honor.
Yeah, all televised.
Did you say Ring of Honor?
No, I didn't say Ring of Honor.
So that's, what's that, like 7, 8?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. We've got Progress, and I think that's it. That's the only one I can think of. We got, like, Progress is like the big one. That's it.
Yeah.
No, it's a real shame, but hey,
So I do think that you're going to get more shows across Europe. We've already got Bash in Berlin, or has that happened? That might have happened already, hasn't it?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I think that's already happened. And then you've got Clash at the Castle coming back to the UK.
Yep.
I think you're going to get more shows through, like, Germany, Italy. I think Spain will probably get one. You'll maybe even go to, like, they've done Australia recently. I think they could go out to New Zealand, maybe. There'll be random places which WWE can now go, and the crowd who are in these places, like we say, one, they don't get the chance to go to these shows as often, but then, like, the French crowd, I'd probably say about 70% of that crowd had never seen AJ Styles wrestle before, like, live.
Yeah, live.
Because he went from Japan to America.
Yeah.
He's never really been through England in any of the, like, indie promotions or anything else. So when you get to these, like, hot European crowds that are blowing the roof off buildings, AJ Styles, you can book him as the biggest shithouse in all of WWE, is going to get cheered out the building.
Yeah, it's because they just they just get a chance to see them,
Yeah.
Like when we went to Birmingham, I was just glad that we got a chance to see Dolph Ziggler before he got released, because it was inevitable.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad that we got a chance to see him.
But it was that show sort of proves one. Well, we'll get to this in a second anyway. The house shows and stuff, because we do need to talk about 2 house shows. But like, the people that were on the match, the match card that we went to see, even though they were heels, I don't think anyone really got booed. Like we walked in and people were cheering the Miz, and this was like prime heel Miz.
Yeah, yeah.
And everyone just like, because we didn't get to see them that often, chanting for him, like cheering. I know it's a house show, so we'll touch on it in a bit.
They get to have more fun, which is great because wrestling is supposed to be fun. So,
but even like Baron Corbin, who was prime heel, he got beat by Boogs in like a roll-up pin in seconds.
Yeah,
people were like obviously laughed at the chant, but then we were still cheering for Baron Corbin.
Yeah, yeah.
And then obviously then the roof exploded when the Brawling Brutes music hit because the local boys came out.
Yeah.
But back to the thing.
Because with time constraints. So let's move on to Raw.
Well, before we move on to Raw, we should really touch on the two house shows real quick.
Quickly.
Because it's important. So, two house shows. We had two other King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring matches for SmackDown. Tiffany Stratton beat Meechin on a house show to get qualified to face Bianca Belair on the SmackDown bracket. So that's your SmackDown side complete. And LA Knight beat Santos Escobar at a house show to qualify to go against Tama Tonga. Which then people put out stuff on X saying, why was this like a big thing like this at a house show? And LA Knight responded basically saying house shows are just as important as the TV shows.
Yeah. He
basically just echoed what you just said. He was like, we have fun, but we want people to actually come and see something with high stakes as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the only two things I wanted to bring up on the house shows is LA Knight has advanced and Tiffany Stratton has advanced to the semi-finals of SmackDown, such a SmackDown bracket complete.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. So we have. So now we're going on to Raw. The match card. We'll go through that. We got 4 King and Queen of the Ring matches, qualifying matches, and then we got Becky Lynch versus Dakota Kai at the end. So Drew McIntyre opens the show with a promo. Again, just blaming everybody for the fact that he isn't champion and everything that's gone wrong in the last however many months. But then Damian Priest, this is a very strange move that WWE of doing with Priest. He came out and basically said he's like, no, you're talking shit. You know, you're the reason for your losses. You know, no one else. Which kind of makes him a face.
Yeah, I think he's
turning.
In this situation. That they have to slowly turn Priest.
But the
match otherwise doesn't really make sense because to speed it up, not completely, but because obviously we're on time constraints. It ended this segment with Priest granting Drew McIntyre a future World Heavyweight title chance. Wonder when he's going to pick that up. Wonder if is there an event coming up somewhere where Drew would be cheered out the building?
Yeah, I think I don't know. You know, maybe in June there's an event in Glasgow. You know, where he's fucking from. So I think he's from Glasgow. Just a really quick segue. A couple of episodes ago, I actually said that Backlash was going to be in Paris, and I think I just assumed it was going to be in Paris, and it wasn't.
We're British, all of France is Paris.
Yeah, just call it Paris, not So there was a bit of back and forth. Like you said, Damian Priest said, okay, I'll give you a title shot down the line. Then we moved on to the a Queen of the Ring tournament qualifying match. Shayna Baszler versus Io Sky. Great match. Really, really good. Yeah. Shayna Baszler being the best version of herself, you know, absolutely, you know, punishing Io Sky, like big power moves, you know, lots of submission, but yeah,
there there was a great moment in this match where Shayna hits the Karafuda clutch, just choking out Io.
Yeah.
And Io, I don't know how this reversal worked, and I was watching it live, and I still don't know how they managed to do this. But Io looks like she's fading, and we're going to get Shayna advancing, and then all of a sudden Io sort of does a backwards roll through the Karafuda clutch, but twists it somehow, and then locks in the STFU, or STU to STF, which makes it, well, that's a different thing altogether, because it was obviously STFU shut the fuck up, and then we might need to bleep their editor. I know where the editor's sat with me and he's shaking his head now. I love being able to just make Ryu do stuff on camera. But then WWE were like, oh, that's an offensive name. Let's drop it so it's the STF.
Yeah.
Now it's just shut the fuck.
So I think. So am I? I think it's step over something or other. I used to know what the whole thing was, because it's not called the actual move. I think is STO. The actual move name is in the catalog of things is I think it's called an STO. I think that's its actual name, but yeah, it was an STFU for John Cena, and then they changed it. But Io Sky defeated Shayna Baszler. Obviously, I'm not impressed with that, but with the good showing that Shayna Baszler had in this match, we could see something happening in the future. Something happening in the future.
It was nice to see a match with someone in a faction not have an interference from said faction. Io Sky just won.
But
it was a very good match.
It was, but what was also strange, and again, it's something I just want to touch on, is the fact that Io Sky was working face. Like she was the, like she was fighting from underneath, while Shayna Baszler was just beating the shit out of her. So
yeah.
But anyway, let's move on. So we had another King of the Ring tournament match. We had Kofi Kingston versus Gunther.
This match started so well.
It did start really well.
So if you haven't kept up with wrestling or been listening to the podcast last few weeks, we had a match last week, I think it was, maybe 2 weeks ago now, where Gunther took out Xavier Woods, but kayfabe injured Xavier Woods.
Yeah.
So there's a segment backstage where Kofi's like, I'm going to get him for you, sort of thing. And Xavier's like bigging him up and goes, get out there. So Kofi comes to the ring. Then Gunther's music hits, and as he's making his way to the ring, Kofi just baseball slide, bang, straight into Gunther, and just takes Gunther out for the first 2-3 minutes outside the ring. Yeah. The match doesn't start. It's like something out of Universe mode where you can press A to break out and just attack him. And Kofi was just absolutely laying waste to Gunther, and I was like, shit, don't do this. Obviously, we'll get to the actual match in a bit, but it literally just started off like Gunther tried to roll in the ring to start the match to stop Kofi being able to do this stuff to him on the outside. Yeah. And Kofi just grabs Gunther's legs and just pulls him back out like, I'm not done. Just carries on wailing away. It was such a good, strong opening to a match after it was, like we said, the first match was really good between Shayna and Io.
Yeah.
And to follow up with this, there was no lull moment for the crowd. It wasn't like a high-low sort of following the curves of a Universe mode. This was just, bang, let's just go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very, very, very high-paced start.
Yeah,
throughout the match.
Yeah, but it was obviously we'll get into the match more. It was it started off with just all Kofi, and then Gunther took control. But it was just such a hard-hitting match. This,
yeah,
he locks in a Boston Crab or on the announce table. Just make it, and you just see Kofi and Kofi sells it so well. He's in agony because obviously because things on the commentary table hurt more for some reason.
You haven't got that much padding. Yeah, it was a fine match. Gunther obviously wins, which could set up a showdown with Jey Uso or Ilya Dragunov, which would be interesting considering their history. Yeah. I don't. There was a lot of backstage stuff after that.
Yeah. There was. I'm pretty sure it's this match where there's a camera angle, and it's so funny because it's when they're doing stuff on the announce table, and the camera angle goes to sort of being like from the entrance ramp point of view, and Michael Cole's just, instead of like standing up from his chair, he stays sat in his chair, but he's just cowering. That looks so stupid. It's so funny, but so stupid because Pat McAfee just stands up and moves to the side like normal, and Michael Cole's almost like he's froze with fear, just in his chair, just cowering. But we'll talk more on the commentary team because them pair are just an absolute delight. I loved Pat McAfee in his first run, and he's doing so well this time.
Yeah,
and they've started to get rid of that damn pen that he's got.
Oh fuck's sake! Yeah, that was so stupid. It was fine for a one-off, but thankfully they're not doing it anymore. It's ridiculous. So just a few quick backstage segments. Chad Gable continuing to, shit on his Alpha Academy team, and then he declared some matches, which is interesting, seeing as I'm pretty sure he's got nothing to do with the booking, but he said that Otis is going to fight Sami Zayn, Akira Tozawa will fight Bronson Reed, and then he wanted to start training Ivy Nile, while dismissing Maxine Dupree. Then we had Samantha Irvin and had a nice in-ring thing with Lillian Garcia. It
was a way to get Samantha Irvin a standard ovation. Basically, she's just that's told how well she's been doing.
Yeah,
which it's not a lie. She has been the best ring announcer I can remember for a long time.
Yeah. Lillian Garcia, it was good, but yeah. And then Kiana James officially arriving on Raw, whatever that means.
Officially arriving, but having no match because the King and Queen of the Ring tournament's ongoing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here. Don't worry, I'm here. Okay, well. You can go over now.
yeah. So then we had Akira Tozawa versus Bronson Reed.
Predictable match, but
of course it's predictable. But it's more about the fact that Bronson Reed and Chad Gable are going to challenge Sami Zayn.
It's a triple threat match confirmed for the Saudi show.
Yeah,
which we suspected it would be with these three men. It's a good way to showcase Bronson's power because obviously, if he's going to be in this match with Sami and Chad, you want him to be feuding with the Alpha Academy at this point or Sami Zayn, and it stops either Chad or Bronson looking weak if they have to have them face each other.
Yeah.
So putting them against members of the Alpha Academy, if you had to pick one way to showcase Bronson's power, you put him against Akira Tozawa over Otis or Otis.
Oh yeah,
because he can just chuck Akira Tozawa around.
Yeah.
And a phrase that we use a lot, Akira Tozawa does his job well. He sold like a champion. You get that wonderful tsunami from Bronson Reed to finish off the match.
Yeah.
But it's probably the match I'm most looking forward to on Saudi at the minute. So I love all three. Well, obviously, my opinion of Sami's gone down because I think it should have been Chad, but I still like Sami Zayn. It's hard to hate Sami Zayn.
I find it so easy. I find it so easy, but that's just me.
But I love Bronson Reed. I love Chad Gable, so I think this is going to be, for me, match of the night. The one that I'm looking forward to the most.
Talking about the commentary team, did that Irish lad he got released, didn't he?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I thought so. I'll we'll just touch on that in case anyone was. Well, no one cares, I know, but we'll just we'll see. Karrion Kross was backstage, which is strange because he's kind of not doing anything at the moment. He was talking to Kofi and using the part of his gimmick. He said, "There's always time to turn things around. There's always time." TikTok.
Yep.
There's always time to turn things around. Wonder what that.
So
means.
I think it could be a case that, and I hope that I'm wrong in this, but it could be a case that they're going to try and turn the Final Testament into a Shield-esque faction. And you're never going to match the Shield. I'm not going to sit here and compare the two that much. But what I mean by that is they could become like guns for hire. Yeah. If they go, it's time to turn. There's always time to turn things around. Could be alluding to the fact that you've got an Imperium problem. He's injured Xavier. He's taken you out of King of the Ring. We can help you. We can take care of your problem. And then the Final Testament will attack Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser at some point. Maybe costing Gunther the King of the Ring. I don't know. But then you could have like maybe it would slightly turn New Day into heels, which I don't think works. No. I think they're better faces.
Yeah.
So if they're the ones that, so that's why I don't necessarily agree with it. But it's just something that I thought when I seen that segment. I was like, that could be Karrion Kross going. You got a problem. You come to us. Never time. Like because it almost treats it sort of like that. Almost like a cult feel. Like because they are called the Final Testament. They could be like, you can join our sort of like circle and we'll protect you. We protect people in our sort of like area.
Maybe.
Like it's this like holy figure, almost like a cult. And then obviously if they come to them, the AOP and Karrion Kross will go and take care of their problem for them. Which could be a better way to book the Final Testament if they suddenly become these sort of like say, almost cult-esque thing where if you've got a time to change and you could have a few packages of like Karrion Kross giving lessons to New Day about how to deal with, I know obviously I'm using the wrong example because like I say, New Day probably won't become heels, but you could have like this thing where he's like sort of teaching some like tag teams like, if you need to do this, do that sort of thing. Like in a weird sort of, because he's actually, if you look at Karrion Kross's Twitter or X, I know he's obviously probably being past some stuff, but he quotes a lot of these like Bible verses and stuff like that. So the cult figure could actually work, where they become this like religious sort of like, I wouldn't say weirdos, but you know what I mean, like this sort of like, I want to be like seen, because you get them in America quite a lot.
Yeah,
they all drink from the same Kool-Aid bowl and then all go on to a greater place.
Yeah, they do.
So, but that's just a thought. That's a sidetrack of what I think that they could do with the Final Testament to make them relevant.
Okay. Going back to Raw, we had a Queen of the Ring tournament. Zoe Stark versus Lyra Valkyria. I've made a point to say it right this time.
I'll never say it right. Don't worry.
Valkyria defeated Stark, so
probably a predictable outcome for the match, but again, showcases what Lyra's all about.
Yeah, an NXT talent is now 2-0 on the main roster, so that's always good. It's always good to see that they're willing to push the newbies.
Yep.
She faces Io Sky in the next match.
Yeah. I said it last week. Still say it this week. Right. Like my favorite finisher name is always going to be Oblivion. I think that just works. The play on words. I'm a sucker for a good pun and play on words, and that's for me. But the Nightwing just sounds like sounds like a good move.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Lyra did really well, and I think it's. I'm not sure because we've like randomized our rosters in WWE. If you don't know, check out the YouTube channel for the Universe mode, which will be making a comeback. We've just had issues, IRL and scheduling conflicts.
Yeah,
that is why it's been delayed for a bit, and we'll peel back the fourth wall slightly. we got copyright struck, so we dealt with that before carrying on making stuff, and it was the stupidest reason.
We're actually 1-0 against WWE. just throwing that out there. We're 1-0 against WWE.
We know for a long time that WWE watchers. We said this last year when you booked A-Town Down Under. You were the one that brought them to life. So WWE have gone, right, we'll copyright strike this. And then they're like, wait, we've got a complaint case in from, oh shit, them boys.
Yeah.
No, drop it now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so they claimed, we're getting off topic, but we might as well discuss it. So they claimed that we had used about 10 seconds of footage of their Best of Sasha Banks video, when all that it was the universe mode PLE, and it's when the women's NXT title is shown on the screen before the match just as a graphic. They claimed that the 10 seconds that belt was on the screen was part of the Sasha Banks thing.
Yeah, and we haven't had that issue before, and it's been on Universe Mode 3 times now in total,
which was interesting.
Yeah. So I think, well, just while we're on the subject, because I'm obviously the GM of Friday Night SmackDown, which that belt was from. If it happens again and we get copyright struck again, which is one of the reasons why we haven't put up Universe Mode for a bit, because we didn't want to keep putting stuff up if we were getting copyright struck and then the channel get taken down.
Yeah.
If it happens again, I will probably just switch the belts to save the channel. So that'll be why. Just so I'll either get a created one off the marketplace, or I'll just pick a different one. And see if we get away with it.
I'm sure there's some fantastic community creations out there. That you can choose from, but that shouldn't happen. It had absolutely nothing to do. There was no music, because obviously we're savvy to copyright stuff. We don't use anything that is copywritten. We use all royalty free stuff. Whatever.
Yeah, we were so confused because the only thing we could think of was the fact that we used a custom thing, because at the time when it first gives you the strike, it didn't really tell us what it was for until you actually log in and see it all. So when we first got it, we were sort of like, well, I sort of said to Ryu that it could be the fact that we downloaded this community creation and they used real the little cutaways from In Your House might have been the legit cutaway from In Your House at the time. And WWE have gone, that's ours, you can't use that, which would have been a pain in the arse for a 2-hour pay-per-view.
That would have been real. That would have been a real problem.
But
thankfully,
no, it was just that Sasha Banks thing, which
is really bizarre. Because when I looked at what it was and what they claimed it was, I was like, that's not even close. That's not even. I was like, that's not. I was like, no. So I sent it back saying, no, you've got it wrong. You've got it wrong. But anyway. So that's why we haven't had any universe mode for a while. But we will be once, because we have been on very odd shifts. We will have time soon. To maybe do a bulk. Very soon, because hopefully Ryu gets a new job. Hopefully, I've been working my arse off because I'm applying for a manager role in work. So it's when we haven't really had time because our shifts conflict with each other. But then also with stuff going on between Ryu getting vetted for his new job and doing all sorts of stuff which he needs to do, take priority, obviously, because as much as we'd love the cheap seats to be our full-time job, it's not. It would be great if it was, but unfortunately it's not. It's still a hobby. So.
But anyway, my original point before we get back to the actual Raw is I don't know if Lyra's in WWE. Is she? That was my main point where I started talking about the game, because we obviously randomised our rosters and I can't remember if she's in the game or not.
No, I think she is. I seem to recall seeing her. I'm sure that she is part of NXT because she has been for a while, and there's a lot of NXT guys in the game. So I think she's in there. I just haven't seen her, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll have a look through the roster. You know. So Lyra Valkyrie beat Zoe Stark. The following match was Sami Zayn versus Otis. And of course, Sami Zayn defeated Otis. I think more of the story that was being told throughout the match. See, this is the worst thing: is when the champion is this. He's not even the story. He's not part of the story being told in his own match. Was that Chad Gable was at ringside, constantly berating Otis?
Yeah, forced them to stop doing the caterpillar.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, has just turned Chad Gable back face for me because it's the shittest move in all of sports entertainment.
It's basically the worm just with a big dude.
Yeah, but Scotty Too Hotty had like the charisma to do the worm, but even then the worm was shit. But I was a kid, so I loved the worm.
Yeah, I know.
It was a bad move.
It was a lot of fun.
Like even I'm the type of person that goes, you know what, the people's elbow, pretty shit move.
Wins matches
somehow.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's an elbow drop with theatrics.
Essentially, it's an elbow drop. It's not a finishing move for me. That's an elbow drop. It's just that he runs the ropes and does the whole chucking his arm back, his shoulder, elbow pad into the crowd.
Yeah,
and then on the games, he would take one off and then go, "Oh shit, it's not there. Let's take this one off."
Yeah.
And then if he had none, he would try and do both, and then go, just.
No, he would just do the. Yeah, I don't know. That's wrestling. That's wrestling.
I know. For kids, love it. They'll love the caterpillar as much as I loved the worm back in the day with Scotty Too Hotty. But when you actually like sit back, I just take that little step back from the kayfabe and just go, what is this move essentially? It's absolutely fucking awful.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, I need to hit a finisher that's going to end a match after hitting a signature. Let me hit a move that I will be with you in about 3 to 5 working days by the time I go around the ring.
Yeah. Oh God, there was so many shit.
The best finishing moves are stuff like the RKO, out of nowhere, quick, fast, bang, ends a match.
Yeah.
Not the caterpillar where he shimmies for a bit, goes to the corner, then does a really shit worm, and then just hits.
That's what a caterpillar is.
Dive and headbutt.
A caterpillar is just a shit worm.
Get that on a motivation poster. Quotes from Ryu. A caterpillar, just a really shit worm.
And then people will be like, yeah, but it turns into a butterfly. And I'm like, yeah, but a worm's always a worm. The worm is showing its true self. It's not hiding anything.
And also, just to sidetrack once more before we carry on, I know we're doing a lot of times. Just while we were talking, I went onto the page. Lara is not on WWE 2K24. Onto this.
Oh well, I'm sure there's a community created.
I think she might be a DLC. I haven't got the DLC packs on here. She might come in the DLC later in the year.
Okay, all right. Well, the biggest story in this match was Gable. Still giving Otis.
Slapped Otis.
Yeah, he
slapped Otis.
He slapped him pretty fucking hard too. But rather than punching him back or anything, Otis just thing. And this now is giving me vibes of like when the $1 Million Man kept giving Virgil shit, and then finally Virgil turned on him and became a face for So when Otis finally stands up for himself, and destroys Gable, he eventually is gonna just, he's gonna be so fucking popular.
Do you think that the current Alpha Academy, aside from Gable, are going to stick together as a faction after Gable? They finally turn on Gable, and Gable gets new members of the Alpha Academy. I don't know who would keep what name, obviously, but
I don't know. There's been things in the past where teams have a match and the winner keeps the name. Things like that. There's been things like that in the past, so I wouldn't go far, like too far to say that it could be something,
Yeah, it could be a way to bring up more NXT guys under Chad's tutelage if they're heels on NXT.
Yeah,
bring them in and have more heel. Because I think the problem you've got with Turn and Chad heel, where he's doing fantastic work, I'm not taking it away from him, is Alpha Academy just they don't scream
Yeah.
heel. Akira Tozawa doesn't scream heel. Maxine Dupree doesn't scream heel. Otis doesn't really scream heel.
No, they'll be their own version of Alpha Academy, I think. You know, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's a difficult one to fantasy book. We're getting back to Raw because we've still got a few matches to get through, and we're running out of time because I have to go to work in about half an hour. So we got Becky Lynch versus Dakota Kai. Lynch defeated Dakota Kai via DQ. Damage control.
Damage control.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Io Sky, Becky Lynch has got the disarmor and again, fantastic name for a finisher. But then Io Sky just comes in and absolutely clotheslines at the back of the neck, takes her out, which forces the DQ. So on paper, Becky Lynch gets the win, but the match itself ends in a no contest. Damage control try and beat on Becky Lynch until Lyra Valkyria comes out and makes a save yet again, sort of teasing a team for them because they did it last week as well.
Yeah.
And they had that moment in NXT, didn't they? Because I think Becky was the one that... Did Lyra beat Becky, I think? I'm pretty sure they had a match in NXT not long ago.
I think Becky beat her, but she was like, you're special, like you've got something, yeah.
So it sort of throws back to that. But then, as they fend off the heel team of Damage Control, Liv Morgan comes in from behind the commentary desk and just launches Becky Lynch into the ring post and out the ring, and then rolls away before Lyra can get her hands on her. And Lyra's just sort of like, "What the hell are you doing?" Yeah. And Liv just does heel Liv and just starts to walk up the ring, shouting back at Lyra while leaving Becky Lynch in a heap outside.
Yeah.
It's a weird one for me because I think the feud between Liv and Becky has to roll on until the next PLE, because I think obviously the fact that Saudi have got King and Queen of the Ring.
Yeah.
I don't think that Saudi definitely don't want it, and I don't think WWE want to like upset the talent they've got, but also upset the Saudi government because it's the Middle Ages over there and women aren't allowed. So the fact that they've got two women on the show, half the crowd probably go into some sort of seizure.
Well, no, they're allowed. They just have to wear different.
They have to cover up everything. But it took them a while. It did take them a while to get them on the show, didn't it? I think. But
they didn't go the first trip. They didn't go the first trip, but then they made allowances for the second trip. But again, it's just like, oh fuck, really? You know, that's just, oh come on, guys. But yeah, it is what it is.
I say I don't understand their culture at all, but I get that it's their culture, so you sort of have to respect.
Yeah, of course.
If you're in their home, you have to respect it. But at the same time, if you've paid for someone to come over from America, they should be just able to wear whatever they wore normally. Because the thing that I don't get is, does that mean that every week? Because surely they watch Raw. Do they have to edit it so there's no women on the Raw shows?
I have no idea.
Or do they just like skip the Raw shows when it goes to Saudi? Because
I don't know.
If you watch it from there, you're going to see the women in their usual attire. So I don't get what the difference is going to be in your own country. So it's a weird grey area, which is very political. So we won't get into it too much, but it makes no sense. So I feel like this feud between Liv and Becky will roll on to the next PLE, and they'll just stick with the Queen of the Ring as the only women's match on the show. To get it out of the way with, and which is a shame because the tournament has been good so far. So
then we had the tag team number one contenders match that was booked earlier on in the day. Interesting to note that when the Judgment Day came out, we had You have Damian Priest, you have Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Dominic Mysterio, and they're all wearing they're wearing white now instead of purple. They're all wearing white. So
they're becoming more angelic. They're being led by a priest.
I mean, they could go with that if they wanted to. But the match consisted.
And then they got a new member.
Well,
slang.
Well, you have New Catch Republics. You have New Catch Republic. The Creed brothers, which is always nice to see them, and the Authors of Pain. For the right to challenge the Awesome Truth for the tag team, the Raw Tag Team Championships. Yeah, so Carlito decided to just show up.
And then do a move that could legit only hurt himself more than the people that he's doing it on.
Yeah, the backstabber, yeah. On the announce table.
On the announce table.
Yeah, ridiculous.
How does I know I said earlier on that announce tables somehow make moves stronger. How the fuck does that one work? Tell me, because all he's doing is breaking his own spine.
Yeah, if anything, he should have gone, oh, fuck! Oh! But he did it on Pete Dunne. Which allowed...
sadly, as you said last week, it looks like the New Catch Republic are becoming these fall guys every week now.
Yeah, they are. I did, and that's the problem, because
there could be some sort of like silver lining, because it's obviously Triple H booking.
Yeah.
So I can hope that they come back, because Pete Dunne has always been a Triple H guy. So I do think that maybe there's a hope that we get them turned around at some point, and this is all long-term planning from Papa H.
Right.
They are young, aren't they? I mean, Tyler Bates, 26?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to be jobbers forever. They have to. I don't know if it's just me hoping upon hope. They have to turn it around and become suddenly a dominant team. They have to, surely. But stepping aside from the match, not from the match. Can I just say I fucking hate this type of tag match? What is the point?
Yeah, I don't know either.
Why would you have a tag out to another team that's not yours? You would rather just lose the match, because at least then it's in your hands. If you turn it around, you're just tagging a random team. And then there's people like, there was one thing where Finn Balor went for a coup de grace but went into a different corner. So they just went, all right, well, I'll tag in then.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is... So you're ruining, like, no one with a high flyer can't do their finisher move unless it's in their own corner. Teams just tag random teams, so they're like, well, it's a number one contenders match, but I'm still going to tag out because I need a rest, and then there's no saying that I'll get back into this match. I fucking hate these matches. Just have, if it's a multi-man tag match, tornado tag,
just a tornado,
and go to town.
Yeah, it's so simple. Tornado tags have been around for ages, and they do work the best. I don't get it, but the Judgment Day won, so There you go.
Which could be a way to get Judgment Day back with the belts. It could be, I don't know. It's an interesting one, because obviously it carries on the sort of R-Truth Judgment Day thing going on.
Yeah.
I think that the two people in the tag team deserve it. I think that, Finn Balor has been similar to AJ Styles, just a workhorse for so long in the company.
Yeah.
Just signed a new contract. I know he's just recently had the belt, so I can't say he's not been there. But then I think that on the other hand, JD McDonough has been JD done over by WWE, because he's just the fall guy every week for the Judgment Day.
Yeah. Okay.
and he can go. He can, as a British fan, and we've seen. I've got him. I've finally cracked the joke that's got Ryu. Yes, we did it. We did it. I'll be back next week. So, yeah, I think that JD deserves a belt. He does it after the last since his call up. He's just taken the fall, taken a beating. Judgment Day have turned on him more times than I've turned on my wife. It's yeah. Twice.
Oh.
We've done it twice. Yay!
No, you haven't. I just can't believe it. Some of the shit you're coming out with.
I've had a lack of sleep. I've just finished.
Yes, I know.
But yeah, so I think that JD deserves it.
Okay.
I hope that he does.
We'll have to wait and see. So then we have
The main event.
We have the main event. Thank God we've gotten here. Jey Uso versus Ilya Dragunov.
He's actually main event Jey Uso. For
Yeah,
the first
I know.
time since that name came around.
I know,
Yes.
I know. It's taken this long. But yeah, unfortunately, we will not see a rematch of Gunther versus Ilya Dragunov from NXT. Instead, we will get Jey Uso and the Ring General. Yeah, Uso wins, goes through to the next round. I kind of feel like I could have probably predicted that. As nice as it would have been for Ilya Dragunov to keep going through. Again, we do not know what this new Triple H era incarnation of the King of the Ring tournament is going to be. So we don't know what exactly comes out of this. We don't know what this new version of King of the Ring looks like. So I think until we know how they view it, I think we're just gonna have to wait and see. And it would be impossible to say, well, Ilya Dragunov should have gone forward or Jey Uso should have gone forward, because neither of them are in the main event picture, so to speak, right at this moment.
Excuse me, sir. That's main event Jey Uso. It's literally in his name.
Mid-card Jey Uso.
But I think that it's going to be a good semi-final match. I hope Gunther wins that one. I hope that the Ring General goes through.
Which
I'd
he might.
probably
Which
say
it's likely. It's likely.
The final of Raw and SmackDown, or the final of the men's bracket, I'd probably say Gunther versus LA Knight, maybe, in the final.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be that of Gunther and Randy Orton. I think that's your final. And for the women's side, I mean, Lyra would be good because it showcases her talent, but I think it'll be Io, probably versus Jade Cargill in that match.
Mm.
You don't want to put Lyra against Jade because that's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. A few other things of note. That the Fireflies style entrance thing is now, for some reason, is something that happens with Jey Uso's entrance as well.
Yeah. That's one thing that happens. The only other thing that I'll briefly touch on, because it was Raw, and I briefly touched on it a bit earlier, is the commentary team of Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. It's just so far removed from the Vince regime now. Yeah. And it's such a play. Like, there was one thing where he was bringing up, I think next week, Bron Breakker's going to make his Raw debut since the draft. I think that's what they were getting at, because obviously next week there's only a semi-final match. There's only going to be one match for the King and the Queen of the Ring.
And also, just to add to that point, on Spotify, Bron Breakker's new theme tune was released.
Yeah. But there is a thing, and Pat McAfee starts doing like the dog sort of woof for Bron Breakker starting, and Michael Cole starts like breaking down laughing because he just breaks character completely.
Yeah.
And Michael Cole, he goes, I love it. I love being able to do this, like Pat McAfee. Then he starts just going, "Roo, roo, roo," like constantly. and then Michael Cole tries to announce the next match, and every time he goes to do it, Pat McAfee just goes, "Roo," over the top and just breaks him. So, then Michael Cole just breaks down laughing, tries to get through to it, and you can almost like. It almost feels like you could tell someone in Gorilla was like, right, let him finish this because you're going over. And Pat McAfee was having none of it, so every time he just kept woofing over the top of Cole until Cole just went, fuck it, I'm just going to say it while he's woofing.
Yeah.
But it's so good to see them two just having fun on commentary because it makes it feel more real. It's like fans are commentating now.
Yeah.
It's not a robot of, this move has happened.
Oh.
This has now done.
I mean,
this person is bad.
No, but I mean, calling the moves is good because the fans, like, you know, wrestling moves have names. It's good to like it's good to call the names, but no,
back in the day it was just like move. This guy's face. This guy's bad. This show's next week. This is our sponsor. Done.
Yeah.
Whereas now it feels more like. Pat McAfee is just like someone they've grabbed someone from the front row and gone, right, you're gonna be the voice of this match. There you go. And it's just him like making these random comments that we at home are doing the same thing. Like if there's a big high hitting move or something like that, Pat McAfee gets excited, Michael Cole gets excited, they cheer
it's good.
and just like start shouting random things down the microphone, and it just makes it feel so much better.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah.
And the only other thing I want to say, because that's the end of Raw, by the way. We shouldn't. The only thing I want to say from news elsewhere is Darby Allin made his return this week after being hit by a bus and breaking his ankle or whatever it was. Not in the same day. Obviously, he broke his ankle or something like that, so he couldn't do his mountain climb up Everest. And then he got hit by a bus in New York. Or he hit the bus. We're not sure. He probably dived off a ladder in front of it.
Yeah, 100%. He just threw himself in front of the bus.
But he returned to make the save on the new Elite. Okay. Oh well, off the new Elite. So they were beating down on Daniel Bryanson. Who else was in the ring? The FTR boys, and it was obviously Jack Perry, who's back now. He's now part of the Elite. The Young Bucks and Kushida. I can't remember his name. Kushida. So then for the numbers advantage, then Darby Allin's music hits. He comes from behind with a skateboard and just wipes out all four members with a skateboard.
Fair enough.
But he's returned. So that's the only other thing. It's better news this week. There's no arsehole fans, so
yeah. Well, that's pretty much all we've got time for. We really that's all we really have time for. So thanks everybody for tuning in on Spotify, watching on YouTube. We've got one. It's on time as far as the recording goes, but it will be out ASAP. Stay tuned for more. There's more of the unboxing videos coming of the Don Ross cards.
Peeling back the curtain. They're being uploaded as we speak. Well, not to go live, but they are.
That's fine. That's fine. We will get some more Universe mode on the go. I've already got my next Raw's booking penciled in. I've already got that all ready, so we're all ready to go. There will be more once our schedules stop being so shite, and we can actually sit down and do a bulk session. But until then, it is goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Have a good weekend, everybody.